We're grateful for each and every one of you. Let us know where in the world you're tuning in from. We'd love to hear from you in the comments. Let's begin. The rain hadn't started yet, but the sky over Southridge was darkening with the promise of a storm. Inside a neat two-bedroom suburban house, Clara Vaughn poured herself a glass of red wine, her hand trembling slightly. She stared at the clock on the kitchen wall. Only 23 minutes left until Aaron, her husband of 5 years, would walk through the door, oblivious to what she was about to say. She was dressed differently than usual, not in her yoga pants and oversized hoodie, but in a sleeveless emerald green top that clung to her curves. Her makeup was subtle but striking. Clara wasn't trying to seduce Aaron tonight, just unsettle him, to test the waters of something she'd already convinced herself was empowering. Her friend Monica, bold and unapologetic, had been in her ear for months. "Clara, you've forgotten how to be desired. Marriage isn't a cage unless you let it be. Trust me, I've been down this road. A little bit of fire from someone else can bring your whole soul back to life." Clara had laughed at first, but the idea fermented over time, especially on those nights Aaron came home exhausted, collapsed on the couch, and barely noticed her. Was it fair? No, but fair wasn't what she craved anymore. She wanted excitement, attention, validation. And so, she planned this dinner carefully. Her lasagna, his favorite, was still in the oven. A bottle of imported Italian wine, chilled in a silver bucket. She wanted him calm, softened by familiarity, before she dropped the truth. Her phone buzzed. A message from Monica. "Monica, tonight's the night. Be the fire, not the ashes. He'll either bend or burn." Clara stared at those words. Somewhere deep inside, a whisper of guilt stirred, but she silenced it with another sip of wine. This was for her, or so she told herself. At 6:02, the front door creaked open. Heavy boots thudded against the floor. Aaron stepped in, soaked from a late afternoon drizzle, work bag slung over his shoulder. His eyes lit up when he saw the table. "Wow," he said, pausing. "Date night." Clara smiled tightly. "Something like that." She handed him a glass of wine. He took it with a grateful nod, but looked at her more closely. "You okay?" "I will be," she replied, motioning him to sit. "Let's eat first." They ate mostly in silence. The food was good, the atmosphere strained. Finally, she exhaled and put her fork down. "Aaron, we need to talk." His shoulders tensed. "What's going on?" "I need something," Clara began, trying to keep her voice even. "Not from you, necessarily. From life. From myself." Aaron blinked. "Okay, I've felt invisible, Aaron. Not unloved, but undesired. Like I've faded into the background. Monica says." He cut her off with a raised brow. "Monica says?" "Clara, that woman thinks Tinder is therapy. She reminded me that life is short," Clara went on, ignoring the jab. "So I've made a decision. For a short while, just a couple of months, I want to try something new." Aaron's expression changed. He leaned back, eyes narrowing. "What kind of something?" Clara's throat tightened. "I want to date other people." His wine glass paused midair. "Are you asking for a divorce?" "No," she said quickly. "I want us to stay married. But openly. Temporarily." For a few seconds, Aaron just stared. No shouting. No slamming fists. Just silence. Then he nodded. Once. Slowly. "So, you want permission to be unfaithful?" She winced. "It's not about betrayal." "Don't insult me," he said calmly, placing the wine glass down. "Call it what it is." Clara's voice dropped to a whisper. "I need this for me." Aaron stood up. Not angrily, but something cold moved through his expression. "Then I'll move into the guest room tonight." "Wait, you're not even going to talk about it." "What's there to say? You've already made your decision." "I thought maybe you'd." "What? Compete?" he asked, a dark smile touching his lips. "You want to taste chaos? Don't expect me to just stand still in the storm." Without another word, he turned and walked down the hallway. The door closed behind him. Clara stood there alone, wine in hand, heart pounding, too stunned by his composure to realize what she'd just unleashed. And Aaron, he didn't slam the door, didn't cry. But inside, something broke, and something darker awakened. Clara didn't sleep that night. She lay in the marital bed alone. Aaron had stayed true to his word and moved to the guest room. She thought she'd feel free, liberated, maybe even thrilled. Instead, she felt like the air had thickened, pressing down on her with an invisible weight. But by morning, the guilt was gone, buried beneath adrenaline and Monica's late-night encouragement. He didn't explode? That's perfect. That means he'll stew in silence and come crawling back when he realizes you're still a hot commodity. Those words stuck. Clara smiled at herself in the mirror, touching up her lipstick. A part of her wanted to believe Monica was right. This wasn't betrayal, just temporary exploration. Just a woman reclaiming herself. At work, everything felt more vivid. Colors popped. Conversations sparkled. She wore a dress she hadn't dared wear in years. The whispers started before lunch. And that's when Eli, a soft-spoken consultant with kind eyes and a quiet, poetic aura, texted her, "You looked radiant in the hallway this morning." Clara's fingers hovered over her phone. Just a smiley? A thank you? A flirt? She chose a bold reply. "Maybe I dress up for you now." Eli responded instantly. "I'll take that as an invitation." It escalated quickly after that. They met for drinks the next night, then again the night after. And before Clara could process it, she had started crafting lies not only for Aaron, but also for herself. She began to feel desired. Eli said the right things, noticed her perfume, told her she was rare. She laughed more than she had in years. Meanwhile, Aaron remained cold but distant. He didn't shout, didn't beg. He watched. He waited. He studied her. Aaron was a contractor, not a man of words, but he knew patterns. He noticed the changed passwords, the hidden texts, the longer showers, the nervous glances at the front door whenever her phone buzzed. Clara thought his silence was weakness. But Aaron was building something far more dangerous than a confrontation. He was building a response. One afternoon, Clara came home early and found Aaron in the garage. He was hunched over a box, some kind of electrical setup, but quickly shoved it aside when he saw her. She smiled awkwardly. "Still working late out here?" He grunted. "Helps clear my head." He didn't meet her eyes, but his calmness, it was terrifying. Not rage, not despair, just calculation. Clara turned to leave, but paused. "You know this is only for a while, right? I'm not trying to destroy us." Aaron finally looked up. His eyes were quiet flames. "You already did." She didn't reply, just walked inside. Days passed, then weeks. Clara's nights with Eli grew more daring. They once met in the parking lot or office. Once, in the back seat of Eli's car under pouring rain. She felt alive, sexy, dangerous. But that thrill came with shadows. She started noticing things. A coworker she barely knew, Vanessa, stopped saying hi in the hallway. One morning, a sticky note on her desk read, "Be careful who's watching." Clara brushed it off, until Monica called, breathless, "I think something's happening. I got a weird call. Someone's digging." Clara blinked. Digging what? Into us. Into what we've been doing. And someone's been talking to HR. Her stomach dropped. "You think, Aaron? You said he's calm. That's exactly who you should fear." That night, Clara checked her laptop. A strange folder sat on the desktop, named Clara Personal. Inside were screenshots, messages, GPS logs, even a spreadsheet labeled encounters_confirmed.xlsx. She gasped, her breath catching in her throat. This wasn't just casual spying. It was methodical, professional, cold. She deleted the folder in panic, but she knew what it meant. Aaron had known everything. At 2:17 a.m., she padded quietly to the guest room. Knocked softly. "Aaron." No answer. She pushed the door open. The bed was untouched, and Aaron was gone. His truck wasn't in the driveway either. He hadn't taken clothes. Just disappeared. Clara stood in the hallway, clutching her phone, dread crawling up her spine like a slow-moving flame. The storm she'd lit for herself? Aaron had caught the spark and walked into the night carrying gasoline. Clara didn't hear from Aaron for 2 days. No texts, no calls, no receipts left on the counter. Just silence. The house grew too quiet, too big. She didn't sleep much, and when she did, it was shallow, fitful. The kind of sleep that couldn't mute the rising panic. She told herself he'd be back. He always cooled off, eventually. He was a man who loved routine, who believed in stability. But something had changed. On the third day, a letter arrived. Hand-delivered. No postage. No return address. She opened it on the kitchen counter, heart pounding. Inside was a single sheet of paper, neatly typed. Clara, I won't stand in your way. But understand this, freedom is never free. Watch carefully now. Hey. She read it 3 times. What did it mean? Monica didn't answer her call that morning. Neither did Eli. Clara's fingers fumbled over her phone. She checked social media. Messages. Nothing. Then her phone rang. Unknown number. She hesitated, then answered. Mrs. Vaughn, a deep voice said. Yes. This is Officer Talbot with Southridge Police. We received a report involving your vehicle. It was found abandoned in Hillside Creek, several miles out. We believe it was dumped intentionally. Clara's heart nearly stopped. My car? That's impossible. It's in the garage. No, ma'am. That's your husband's truck. She froze. Is he okay? Ma'am, he's not missing. In fact, we spoke to him yesterday. He told us to inform you that all assets associated with your name and your marital estate are being transferred. He has also filed a protection order. You'll be receiving a formal court notice shortly. Clara's knees buckled. Wait, protection order. I'm not at liberty to discuss further, ma'am. You'll need to contact your attorney. By 3 p.m., it had gone viral. Clara's name, her face, leaked footage. It started with a file shared anonymously to the company's Slack channel, meant only for internal security. But someone, no one would admit who, forwarded it. A short clip, a dimly lit room, Clara whispering, laughing, a male voice, a name, Eli. A familiar bedspread. Her bedspread. Her marriage bed. The video didn't show much, but didn't need to. Her voice. Her laughter. Her betrayal. And the caption on the leaked file? Some vows break themselves, but some break others first. By the time she reached out to Monica, she already knew. It had begun. That night, Clara met Monica at an empty park lot behind a liquor store. Monica's face was pale, her usual defiance gone. He did it. Monica whispered. Aaron, he's not just sitting back. He's burning everything. What do you mean? He hired someone. Maybe more than one. I got a call from my landlord. Someone emailed him a file. Me and Logan, me and Daniel. Stuff I didn't even know was recorded. Clara's voice cracked. I found files on my laptop. He's been tracking me for weeks and leaking it in pieces. I just got suspended from work. HR says they're investigating ethics violations. Clara stared into the dark. You told me this would be harmless. No, I told you it would be fun, and you believed it would be harmless. There's a difference. But you said men always come around, that they love a confident woman. Monica laughed bitterly. I was wrong. Aaron's not like the others. He's surgical. The next day, Clara was called into the company boardroom. There were 4 people waiting. HR, legal, and a man she didn't recognize, probably security. She was offered coffee. She declined. Then they placed a thick file in front of her. Screenshots, timestamps, office locations, messages between her and Eli, between her and Monica, even her digital calendar, cross-referenced with company property logs. We believe this represents a conflict of interest, misuse of resources, and violation of the company's code of conduct, said the HR director, grim-faced. Clara whispered, How did you get all this? No one answered. Then the security officer cleared his throat. We also received audio recordings. From a third party. Aaron, she asked, voice breaking. Still no answer. She wasn't fired on the spot. They said they'd evaluate further. But Clara knew what that meant. She left the room trembling, knees buckling under the weight of shame. When she got home, her key didn't work. The locks had been changed. Her belongings? Already boxed on the porch. And taped to one of the boxes, another note. You lit the match. I simply watched it burn. Welcome to the freedom you wanted. She sank to her knees on the welcome mat, surrounded by everything she once called hers. Aaron wasn't cold anymore. He was strategic. And Clara finally realized, revenge didn't always scream. Sometimes it just quietly documented. Clara had never felt cold like this before. Not even in winter. Not the kind of cold that chills your skin. This was deeper. This was the kind of cold that settled in your chest, carved out your stomach, and filled the space where your pride used to be. The boxes on the porch weren't just items. They were artifacts, evidence of everything she had once built, and everything Aaron had quietly dismantled with clinical precision. She took the boxes to Monica's apartment. Monica barely spoke as Clara paced the floor. Have you spoken to Eli? Clara asked. Monica didn't look up. His wife kicked him out. You didn't know he was married. Clara's heart stopped. He told me. He said they were separated. Monica finally met her eyes. Yeah, that's what men say when they want what they can't keep. Within days, Clara's reputation was not just damaged, it was publicly shredded. Screenshots of her flirty messages were on social media, anonymous pages, likely fed by Aaron's subtle network of revenge. But he never commented, never posted anything himself. Instead, he let the world talk. So she cheated and expected applause? Imagine doing all that and then crying on TikTok. How does it feel to lose a man you didn't think was worth keeping? The digital pitchforks came fast. Clara tried to post a video to defend herself. She made it 2 minutes before the comments overwhelmed her. Aaron had never raised his voice, never threatened her. He didn't have to. He weaponized silence. Then came the legal documents. Divorce proceedings, fast-tracked. Aaron's lawyer, Talia Rourke, had a reputation in the city. Ice-cold, ruthless, elegant. The kind of woman who didn't blink when dishing out ruin. Clara sat across from her in the mediation room, visibly shaking. You are entitled to nothing, Talia said without raising her voice. No home, no car, no spousal support. We have recordings, witnesses, a timeline, and most importantly, intent. Clara's voice cracked. But we were still married. He never told me to stop. Talia's eyes glinted. He gave you the rope, Ms. Vaughn. You chose to tie the knot. The hearing was short. The judge barely looked at Clara. Aaron didn't speak once. The evidence did all the talking. Texts, hotel logs, photos, security footage, and a single damning statement Aaron had prepared in silence. He stood, calm and unreadable. My wife didn't cheat on me. She abandoned the marriage. She wanted freedom. I gave it to her, but she also gave me clarity. I didn't lose a wife. I lost someone who never planned to stay. The courtroom was still. Clara looked up at him. His face was carved in stone. Not angry, just finished. That hurt more than yelling ever could have. That night, Clara checked into a motel. Her phone buzzed. It was Monica. You okay? Clara stared at the screen. No, she wasn't okay. She had lost everything. Her marriage, her home, her job, her reputation. And yet, some twisted, stubborn part of her still blamed Monica. She typed a reply. You told me it would feel empowering. You said men crawl back. Mine burned the bridge. No reply. Monica was probably dealing with her own fallout. Rumors said her husband was suing for full custody. Logan, the office fling, had moved cities overnight. It was as if every man they'd touched had been booby-trapped. Clara couldn't sleep. She kept rereading Aaron's final note. You lit the match. I simply watched it burn. It repeated in her mind like a drumbeat. She tried to drink the memory away. But the worst part, Aaron never gloated. He never once messaged her to say I told you so. Because he didn't need to. He had already won. But revenge is strange echoes. And sometimes, even the victor leaves a door open. Clara stared at the motel ceiling, the flickering light bulb above her casting shadows that danced like ghosts. Each second felt like penance. Her days blurred, job rejections, online shame, whispers in grocery stores. She had become that woman. The headline, the cautionary tale. And Aaron, he had vanished into a life she could no longer see. Rumors said he moved to a different town, that he started his own contracting firm. Some even whispered he was dating again. She didn't believe it, couldn't, because part of her still held onto a threadbare fantasy that there was still something left between them. A crack in the wall he'd built so high and strong. But reality was louder than hope. 2 months later, Clara stood in a job interview for a receptionist position at a dental office. The manager's smile was tight. I'm going to be honest with you, Clara, the woman said gently. We Googled you. Clara's chest deflated. Of course. I don't believe everything I read. But some of your past employers were also contacted during background checks. There were concerns. Clara nodded. Thank you for your time. Broke. Alone. And mentally crumbling. Clara found herself walking the neighborhood where she and Aaron once lived. The house had been sold. It looked different now. New paint, trimmed hedges, potted plants. Like it had been cleansed of her presence. But it wasn't the house she was looking for. It was closure. She never got it. Aaron never yelled. Never cursed her. Never broke down crying or sent bitter drunk texts at 2 a.m. He just closed the door. And that finality drove her more insane than any fiery breakup could have. One rainy night, Clara stumbled across an event at a local bookstore. Some motivational speaker giving a talk about reinvention after ruin. She slipped in the back row unnoticed, rainwater soaking her hair. The speaker's words weren't magic. They weren't comforting, but they stung in a way that felt necessary. You can lose everything and still survive. But if you don't own your choices, you'll keep burning every bridge you cross. Accountability is not punishment. It's the first brick in rebuilding. Clara exhaled sharply, like something old had cracked inside her. The next day, she wrote a letter. Not for forgiveness. Not even for redemption. Just the truth. Aaron, you never gave me the dignity of a fight. And that was the loudest pain I've ever heard. I wanted to defend what I did. I confused attention for love. I listened to someone who celebrated chaos and called it freedom. But you didn't destroy me. I did. And somehow, even in your quiet, calculated revenge, you still gave me more grace than I ever deserved. I don't expect a response. I just want to say thank you for walking away instead of throwing me to the wolves, for letting me crash without finishing the job, for reminding me that silence can be the loudest answer of all. Clara. She mailed it to his business address. No return address. No expectation. Just closure. Weeks passed. No reply. Then, one evening, while volunteering at a shelter for women who'd survived domestic trauma, part of her court-ordered restitution, she walked outside to grab coffee from a nearby diner. A pickup truck pulled into the lot. Same model. Same dent on the bumper. Clara froze. Aaron stepped out, wearing the same worn boots he always did. He didn't look angry. He didn't look cold. Just still. Hey, Clara, he said, as if no war had ever taken place. Her throat tightened. Why are you here? I build things. The shelter's adding a new wing. They call me. She laughed softly. Of course they did. Aaron hesitated, then added, I got your letter. Clara swallowed hard. I didn't expect you to write back. I didn't plan to, but I wanted to say something. She waited. You were right, he said finally. I didn't fight. Not because I didn't care, but because if I had, I wouldn't have stopped. And I didn't want to become something worse just to get even. Clara blinked back tears. You already got even. Aaron gave a half smile. I didn't destroy you, Clara. I just let you face the mirror. A long silence stretched between them. Are you happy now? She asked. He looked up at the shelter's new frame, the scaffolding in place. I'm healing, he said. That's better than happy. She nodded. Me too. They stood in the drizzle for a moment longer. Two people who had burned each other alive, and somehow walked out of the smoke, scarred but breathing,